Have you ever just looked at your life and wondered why, no matter what you do, the world just doesn't seem to give you what you want? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple, but it's also incredibly powerful. You see, reality, it doesn't respond to your desires. It responds to who you are. And if you really want to change your life, well, your old identity has to go.
I mean, you know that feeling, right? It's like you're stuck in a loop. You're trying so hard, you're working, you're doing all the things you're supposed to do, but that one thing you want, whether it's a better job, better health, a relationship, it just stays right there, just out of reach. It's like running on a treadmill, you know? You're sweating, you're putting in all this effort, but you're not actually going anywhere.
Well, there's a name for that treadmill. It's called the wanting trap. And it's this totally exhausting cycle where the very act of wanting something, it just hammers home the fact that you don't actually have it. You're basically living in a state of lack, and, the universe just gives you more of what you're focused on. So wanting creates more wanting, and that just leads to more frustration.
Okay, so if wanting is the trap, how in the world do you get out? Well, the secret is a complete shift in how you look at things. It's about taking all that energy you're putting into wanting something and instead focusing it entirely on who you are becoming. This right here is the identity principle.
Just look at this breakdown. It makes it so clear. Over on the left, you've got wanting. It's all based on lack, right? It's a temporary feeling, it's always outside of you, and man, it feels like a constant struggle. But then, look at the right, being. This is about your core identity. It's a state of being that comes from inside you, it's permanent, and it creates this amazing sense of flow. One feels like you're swimming upstream, the other is just going with the current.
This right here is the absolute heart of it. Your outer reality is just a mirror reflecting your inner identity. Think about it. Someone who is wealthy doesn't spend all their time worrying about getting money. They just operate from a place of abundance. Someone who is a healthy person doesn't have to fight themselves to go to the gym. It's just a natural part of who they are.
All right, I get it. That sounds amazing in theory. But why is it so ridiculously hard to just change who you are? Well, the answer isn't about your willpower. It's actually in the physical wiring of your brain. I want you to imagine your brain is like a super dense, thick jungle.
So, your current identity, let's just call it the old you, is basically a series of super well-worn paths through that jungle. Every single time you have that same old thought, or feel that same familiar emotion, or react in the same predictable way, you're just walking down that same path again, carving it deeper and deeper and deeper into the ground. And, after years and years of walking these same paths, they become these huge, clear highways. Taking them requires zero effort, it's automatic. This is exactly why your old habits and your go-to emotional reactions feel so inevitable. It's not really a conscious choice anymore, it's just your brain taking the path of least resistance.
So what this means is that when you try to change, you're not just fighting a bad habit, no way. You are literally fighting against a physical structure that's been built up in your brain for years. The old you, your old identity, it actually fights for its own survival. That pull you feel, dragging you back to the old way of doing things, that's it. It's a real biological process.
So, the big question is, how do we start carving a new path when those old ones are like 6-lane highways? We need a tool, right? Like a machete for this mental jungle. And that's where this amazing little tool called the Hawkins technique comes in.
This technique is a form of something called psychological microdosing. And let's be crystal clear about this. This has absolutely nothing to do with any kind of substances. Not at all. It's a psychological term that just means learning to observe and handle your old automatic emotions in small, manageable little doses instead of letting them completely take you over.
And here's how simple it is. It's just 3 steps. First, when you feel that familiar negative emotion bubble up, the anxiety, the frustration, the doubt, you just notice it. Don't fight it, just see it. Step 2, name it. Just say to yourself, oh, okay, there's that feeling of frustration again. No judgment, just label it. And third, this is the magic part. You detach. You simply say, that's the old me feeling that. That's a signal from an old, outdated path.
So what do you think happens when you start doing this over and over? You stop being a passive passenger, just letting your brain's old wiring drive you around. You become the active architect of your new identity. You take the wheel.
Think about it. Every single time you notice, name, and detach from an old feeling, you are making a powerful, conscious choice not to walk down that old jungle highway. You're refusing to give it any more of your energy. And what happens to a path that nobody uses? Slowly but surely, it starts to get overgrown. It gets weaker.
And in that tiny moment of detachment, that little pause, you create a clearing in the jungle, a little bit of space. And in that space, you get to consciously choose a new thought, a new feeling, a new action, one that lines up with the person you actually want to be. This is it. This is how you start carving a brand new path.
Look, it's not going to be a super highway overnight. It starts as just a tiny little trail. Maybe you can barely even see it at first. But every single time you use this technique, you take one more step, clearing the way. You are literally, physically rewiring your brain. So the question isn't if you can change. That's a given. The only real question is, will you start walking?